Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Wednesday, November 24th, 2021, and today's topic is called Sky Delivery. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening only on November 16th this time, and this is show number 132. And before we get into those sky observations, we're going to kick things off with the Words, Wisdom, and Spirit of the Day, page 1. There's a page 2 coming up that will have the greetings from around the world. And this is all kicking it off with a big message saying, go forth and live fully. This is in the spirit of the Benevolent Vikings, and I have a little message there. This is a time to completely question everything, and, the famous quote in Star Wars by Yoda is, you must unlearn what you have learned, and that applies to history. So since we are now living or aware that we're living amidst a spiritual battle between dark and light, I totally believe that. We've got some big warfare going on between dark and light forces. And I mean the true light, the loving light. And so, since that is pretty well known, and more by the second as everybody starts awakening, it is good to point out now. I just want to take this time to point it out that if any group has been severely vilified in history, since we're living in an inverse world where the dark forces are leading us to believe everything that is untrue and actually the opposite, I think it's a pretty safe bet that the Vikings were not at all as they're depicted, as this bloodthirsty, raging, war-ridden people. I think, if anything, when you put this level of craft into, say, this Viking longboat per se, these aren't like raging brutes. We've got a whole intelligent, with a capital I, society that was seafaring, trading, and I just don't. I for one don't believe the hype on all that's being depicted in these kind of history television. Definitely don't believe television or anything in the movies, please, unless there's a shred of truth that calls to you and clicks with you as being true. Anyway, all that to say, I was guided to hand build a 2-foot long by 2-foot high Viking longboat and use it as a focal point and centerpiece for a family birthday party recently. And I just want to, emphasize on this show, everything is done in a positive light. And I started this entire show off in the spirit of using the imagination and being creative and doing that every way you can every day. In whatever way you can do it or comes through you. So in this case, I was guided to do this boat, and I wanted to do it just like for no cost or very little cost. So what I did is went to the internet and just carefully selected some images that I really liked and printed them out on regular paper. And then I got some recycled cardboard boxes and put it all together. That's it. So I just used cardboard boxes, printed images, from the internet that I picked out, scissors, and a couple of glue sticks, and that is it. You can also use a small amount of crafting glue. It's a little bit tackier, that dries, sets up thick a little bit quicker than regular glue, but that's not a must. And this thing took me, because it was my maiden voyage, so to speak, and making this for the very first time, in putting it all together, including getting the images and printing them, it took me 6.5 hours, including through the night into the wee hours, I think till like 4 or 5 in the morning to make this thing. But I'm so glad I did. I'm just giving you the one view of it, but it was dimensional. It had 2 sides, and I loaded it with little treat bags and stuff. So anyway, I just felt I had to show that right now because the next message is going to tie into this whole Viking thing. Now, I'm just going to read for this directly. So a message from the Benevolent Vikings I have. Your ship has come in. Now is the time to unload your gifts and enjoy life. Here's to the spirit of exploration and adventure, whether starting at the tip of your 3D feet or far beyond into the vast reaches whilst traveling the astral. If that's something that you like to do consciously, I believe everyone does it unconsciously in your dream state. There are people that are learning and getting in touch with their gifts to do that a little more deliberately. I'm not there yet, but I appreciate anybody else who is and can do that. All right, so now at the very bottom of the page I have today's battle cry, and I'm just using that tongue-in-cheek. I don't support war other than stepping up and voicing your truth and standing up for your personal and human rights and God-given rights, absolutely. So here's a little battle cry for the day. Ready, set, Ratatoskr, and we'll see what that all means in a minute. So here we go. For anyone who doesn't know, I really wasn't aware of this until I started the whole Viking theme with building that longboat. So Ratatoskr is, who is he? Or it. Ratatoskr, or drill tooth, as is the literal meaning of his name, is a pointy-eared red squirrel in Norse myths. It's one of the many animals and beasts that live in the cosmic world tree, Yggdrasil, and it's also one of the most active ones. What is Ratatoskr's role in Yggdrasil? Yggdrasil, I think it is. On the surface, Ratatoskr's job on the world tree is simple: to relay information between the inhabitants of the tree. Most of all, Ratatoskr is supposed to carry out the communication between a mighty and wise eagle that sits atop Yggdrasil and guards it, and the evil dragon. Oh boy, what is this? Sorry. Nidhoga, I think is how it's pronounced, who lays in Yggdrasil's roots and constantly gnaws on them. According to many accounts, however, Ratatoskr is doing a fairly bad job and is constantly creating misinformation between the two beasts. Ratatoskr would even insert insults where there were none, further inflaming the bad relations between the eagle and the dragon. The two powerful enemies would even fight sometimes, due to Ratatoskr's misinformation, and further damage Yggdrasil in the process. Ratatoskr would also damage the world tree himself at times, as any squirrel would. Using his quote-unquote drill teeth, Ratatoskr's damage would be relatively insignificant, but over a period of thousands of years would also contribute to the overall decay of the world tree and thus help bring Ragnarok upon the gods of Asgard. Now this excerpt, this little passage, is from Symbol Sage 2021 at symbolsage.com. Understanding the world through symbols and mythology. And hold on one second. Give me a second. Oh, okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. All right, so I've got that passage in there. I am going to leave it to you to read between the lines here and translate what's going on with Ratatoskr and apply it to this world stage going on right now. So who would Ratatoskr be? I'll give you a hint. You know, well, maybe I don't even need to say it. It's the completely controlled media trying to mind control everyone and divide everyone. That could be one interpretation. See what else you think. So the interesting thing about this little story, and this all came to mind, one, because I had just built the Viking ship by my own hands, and two, I saw this eastern gray squirrel in a park, and just the way he was standing just reminded me of that battle cry, Ready.set.Ratatoskr. And so that means, let's go boldly forward. Now, I don't know if, Ratatoskr seems, pretty mischievous. I don't know if that was all intentional. Sounds like, to incite the two beasts to, quarrel with each other and create disharmony. However, if we try to zoom out and look at it objectively, our experience here on 3D Earth wouldn't be what it is unless we didn't have challenges, adversities, misinformations causing conflict. It's my understanding we need that introduced into this 3D world so that we do have the push and pull that is needed so that things can actually be generated and happen in a way to bring us all back into balance to reach that yin and yang, or yin and yang state. So, with the yin and yang symbol, you've got, the half that's white, the half that's black, and there's a little piece of each within each one. And again, that's needed so that we have, what do I want to say? I'm just trying to say that we have something that creates this tension in a way that makes us recognize that, and so that we know that we can also bring it back into balance. Anyway, there are probably better ways to explain that, but that's what I'm going with right now. My little disclaimer is also I've been up insanely late trying to finish this and do everything else that I need to do today. Anyhow, see what any of this brings out in you. I hope it inspires you to go further research things, and maybe just even one little buzzword brought out something in you that you will happily go explore in the spirit of exploration. Anyway, all that to say, let me get to my greetings from around the world also before we get into the sky observation. So I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, gedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, доброго дня, 안녕하세요, Bortarji, dobry den, aloha winala, galimera, hudenda, and good day. All right, so as we jump into the sky observations today, there's something so important that popped up in the show that really surprised me. Every once in a while, there's just something that completely floors me. And it only comes to light once I put the enhancement on a given photo that I've taken in the sky. And for anybody who's new, the enhancement means I just take the photo and I edit attributes of it, such as color, saturation, contrast, brightness, and that's really about it. I just up the levels a little bit and lower them a little bit. And then a whole new world of stuff just jumps out in the enhanced version. So please, if you're short on time, skip ahead. Be sure to look at slide pages in the lower right-hand corner, number 61, and a few after that. So something truly, truly mind-boggling, mind-expanding pops up at that time. And I don't usually say this, but this is my reminder to tell you to go and don't miss that. Plus, a few other things. So anyway, this one, there's not too much to talk about. Oh, and if you are, whether you're new or returning to this channel, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. You may notice that I don't, instruct anyone to, I don't even want to say it, but I don't instruct to hit the likes or subscribe or do any of that. Just because there's a certain pattern and rhythm there that's also a form of programming on us to, just programming like muscle memory, like playing the guitar or something, and I don't want to do that to anyone. Just as I detested growing up in a public school and being trained like a Pavlov dog to jump and come and go at the sound of a bell. So that's what this reminds me of. It's a personal choice, and I understand for everyone doing it. It's no criticism on people doing it. I just don't want to be a Pavlov dog or train you to be one myself. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Anyway, I'm not going to go over my usual intro for anyone who's new. My apologies, because I just want to kind of move through the show quickly. I don't have much time to record it today. But do look at some of my earlier videos to see what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. And, as it implies, I'm doing sky observations here. So I'm just going to jump into it. So now, the difference on the left is typically going to be the original photo, and on the right the enhanced when I've got a side-by-side. And so in this case, there's not too much delineation of what's going on. I'm just, in the enhanced version, we just pull out a little bit more that's extremely curious going on at C.1. I've got little bits and fragments here that look like there's more to the story being veiled behind here, also here. And what caught my initial attention on this is we shouldn't have anything vertical flying up as far as clouds. And then all of this is kind of haphazard and frayed and looks very artificial. And so all of that caught my attention. This is one where I may, not too much got revealed. I mean, it did and it didn't, but especially right in here, if you zoom in and look in there. But for now, I'm going to skip ahead because there are far more better examples of what's going on in the sky for this day. So here we go. I did, enhance it a little bit more just to see what the heck is this. So again, no way would we have something vertical and then something like a pipe or a stick coming almost dead level out of this thing. So there's more like the Transformers. There's more than meets the eye here in this particular scene. Especially when all of this is shooting out this way in a kind of a radial pattern. And again, this is going straight up. And it looks like something's flying off of here with a vapor trail behind it. Anyway, I'm going to say there's cloak and craft in here, and this is one huge artificial, like fog out to conceal a lot of activity happening. This even looks like a triangular craft springing off of here. See what you think, though. Zooming in one more time on this weird stick element, because it was just truly bizarre. I don't know what this is. If you can tell me, that'd be great. I got to presume, though, it's some type of cloak and craft because of these very rigid, designed elements. And then again, we get traces, glimpses of a pure triangular form down here. Something looks like it's a triangular form here gliding down. See what you can find. I invite you with any of these photos. Some are going to have much more things going on in them than others. And as always, there's going to be far too much for me to get to and call out. So if I skip over something that seems pretty big and you're like, hey, why didn't you cover that? It's not intentional. As I've said before, I narrate these shows on a laptop screen, which is very different than if I narrated them on a smaller, like thumbnail size or handheld device size. You see so many different things when it's at a reduced scale as when it's a blown up scale, and vice versa. So also, if you are, fortunate enough to have a laptop and a smaller handheld handheld device at the same time, and you can run them concurrently, run the show concurrently on them, and then you just toggle up with your vision, like look up at the big screen and then look down and at the smaller one and back and forth, and you're going to see a whole another level of things pop up in the photos. And also, as always, if you find anything fun, if it's whether it's just fun and fantastical ideas, like you see an image and it reminds you of some kind of cloud play, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Or if it's based on something more logical and rational, whatever take you want on it, and you have some ideas about what you're seeing, feel free to let me know in the comments section below, and if not, no big deal. Okay, so now we're going to move along, and what struck me most of all in the morning here, looking southeast, is how artificial the sun is looking, and I am absolutely convinced, no questions anymore, not that there really were any, but we were dealing with an artificial sun, or solar tech, or solar simulator, and there's plenty of evidence now coming out not only from actual patents that were pulled in the 1960s, which are easily findable on the internet, but also tons of other sky watchers, earth watchers out there on YouTube are documenting these things left and right. So I invite you, as always, please go look at plenty of other YouTube channels. Why do I say that? Because there tend to be the most people that are really actively seeking the truth and trying to get to the bottom of what's really going on in our world, because what's being presented has been a complete illusion and deception for the most part, and everybody's documenting just with direct observations, people like yourself or myself going out looking up and saying, what the heck is that? That's not normal. That hasn't happened in the last several decades on this planet. What's going on? So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Now, aside from this being obviously an artificial sun or solar tech creating that effect, because it's just white as white can be, fixed and glaring, and our original sun is warmer, softer, pulsing, more healing light with the original sun. This is just artificial. It radiates and burns people in the way that a microwave would when they're on the beach, and our original sun would not do that. It might burn the skin, but not in that way. I'm based in, by the way, Miami, Florida, so South Florida, and so I know a little bit about the sun. I grew up with it, lived in it, lived outside playing for over 10 hours a day. Later in life, sunbathed. I know the differences, acutely aware of them. So anyway, all that to say, left-hand side, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one either, but on the right-hand side, we start to see a red-pink signature pop up, and do look at my description box below for what I see could be generating that here locally. But here, what drew my special attention was that we have like a vapor trail zooming in down here to this little object at C.1. So I think that's a little craft zooming down in here. We get a big sky imprint going on in here because we have some pretty defined, well-defined and sharp edges. So I do suspect cloak and craft going on in up here. We also get like a blurry fuzz out. Oh, also look at this pure corner here. That's a sky imprint or an actual triangular object. You can even see it over here in the original. It's a triangle. So I'm starting to see these symmetrical triangles and things that just wouldn't occur in natural cloud systems. And they're popping up more and more every day, increasingly so, since I really was guided to do this stuff strongly, let's just say in 2018. I've been noticing this stuff. Now, back to this, sorry. When we see this fuzzy, choppy effect, I'm calling that staccato cloud activity, or that could just be a craft that's, that's its camouflage. But when I see the rest of the sky is kind of choppy and fuzzy and everything else is in full focus, like this is all choppy and fuzzy, I'm calling that staccato cloud activity with a high suspicion that we've got cloak and craft going on behind there, and that it's the electromagnetic wave activity that it's sending out to create this disturbance locally, either to cloak other, a host of other cloak and craft going on in there, or it just might be purely a side effect of whatever power source is generating the craft or crafts, and or it could be a combination of both. See what you think. All right, we're zooming in just a little more. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this one, but here's that vapor trail I see that leads to this little thing over here. And when I say craft, it could be definitely something piloted, or it could be something that is, and piloted whether it's by human or ET means or remote, or it could be a sensor or some type of instrumentation up there. I'm not sure, but I do know it's artificial. I do know that's not normal happening in our cloud systems, sky. All right, now here's another view of something going on. What is strange is everything's pitched on angle. That's also not typical of a sky in South Florida. We have tropical to subtropical conditions, and nothing in normal times, let's just say, would be generating that. So that's unusual in and of itself. So I looked to the right with some enhancement. I didn't get at too much more other than we seem to have something a little more concrete. It's an object popping up in B.1. maybe up here in 8.1 also. Weird little things happening all over. I'm going to leave this one to you to look at a little bit more in your own time and see what you can find. Oh, also give me one more moment. Okay, I'm back. As you can see here, I have here extra labeled Artificial Sun Solar Simulator Tech. This is some type of solar tech. So if you look to the right, that is the biggest bleepity bleep supposed sun I have ever seen in my decades of this planet. That ain't natural, okay? So that is the effect of solar simulator or solar tech up there, whether it's bouncing things off from mirror technology or projection or whatever. I don't care how you want to call it. There are many ways to have a solar simulator, many different designs and patents that are documented, with the government and accessible on the internet. And so that's one example. That's just crazy. This thing is so huge, so bright, so glaring, that is never, ever could be considered our original natural sun. Even if the Earth is wobbling or off course, so to speak, and doing its own thing these days through the galaxies and through the darkness out there, supposedly in space, even if we were like wandering closer to the sun for some reason, it still wouldn't look like this. And why? And then it wouldn't be like this one day, and then completely different the next day, as we've been seeing. So I'm not buying it. This is not our original sun. There, I've said it once again. Anyhow, looking over here at D, we see a triangular form. There are lots of weird little triangular forms and oddities happening all over the place here. But really, I just wanted to get at, bam, that thing ain't real. So anyhow, yeah, and again, at D.1, you see a little bit more of the triangular shape. So I'm going to move along, though, because there's so much more exciting things. There are many more exciting things coming up next. All right, so in this case, once again, I look at movement, I look at color signatures, I look at a lot of things, oddities and strangeness happening in our skies these days. And here, we've got, again, vertical bursts of stuff, and again, this weird haziness, clear, definitive direction coming, an angle down here and over here. None of that can be considered natural. So let's just jump over to the right-hand side at the enhanced version. And again, we just see this strange activity. C.1 looks like a triangular form even. These look very pronounced and look like there's some type of structure happening in here, cloaked and hidden behind all this. Again, this is the staccato cloud effect I'm talking about. It's all choppy and fuzzy to the naked eye, and yet we see everything else in clear focus. Here we have like two holes that looks something like it's engineered and like maybe emerging from cloak back in there, or it might be this whole thing a more triangular shape. See what you think is going on in there. It's really intriguing, whatever it is. Speaking of intriguing, what the heck is going on here? Oh, and sorry, sometimes I don't always get my update these things on the directions that we're looking. So if you have any questions, just ask me in the comment section below. This is actually looking southeast. I didn't get that updated. So anyway, regardless, we've got weird things. These aren't natural clouds. Come on, Anyone that says they are, I dare you to go point me, go show me what that thing is. Look at, we've got like a ball of energy burst, signature here, energy signature of like bright whiteness. We get a little bit of red pink tinge happening around here. And then we get pure white, pure white. What are these things? Is this that we're just starting to see part of something that's coming in out of dimension? Maybe this is the tip of some overall bigger thing. We got a light burst down here too. Or are we dealing with many separate entities? What these are, I cannot tell you, but I think you can agree that's not natural in a natural cloud system. We're zooming in one more time, so we just see that red-pink energy burst around something looking more golden. And then we have pure white. What is going on? This one's really mystifying. I really haven't run into anything like this. But actually, the more I'm looking at this on the laptop screen, I see a hole here, and a hole here as well, just to make things even more complicated for me to figure out. We have a triangular imprint right here, and a little one over here too. Again, you may have to run this up on a bigger screen to see some of those things. Okay, now this view, looking north-northwest in the morning, this struck me as odd. What is this doing, this thing at B and C, and this trailing off behind it? That's not a normal cloud configuration, especially given what's going on behind it. So we're going to jump to enhancement, and bam, the red-pink signature happening locally is the dead giveaway of something happening that's being cloaked heavily. And again, with this white burst above it, even more so the smoking gun of we've got artificial activity going on. And then we've got a darker object being cloaked here. We've got some weird little trail or connection between these two things. This looks like another one of whatever this is. All right, so I think I look one more time. Yeah, we're going to zoom in again. And look at this. I couldn't get at what is going on in this dark mass, but it is solidity. And then look, we got this straight line down here and another one echoing down here. So this is an object. There's no other way around that. Nothing would be that solid, and that straight and even, and it's on a weird angle. We have other things kind of lurking and emerging in the background. We get a bright burst of, whatever's going on here too, all over the place. So there's a lot very highly suspect going on. This is even a triangular shape where my cursor is down here. Very bizarre. So then we're going to now turn our eyes, that was north, we're going to look south. And this was just strange. Not only do we have that artificial sun effect here, it's pure white blinding and just strange. But then we have like a smudge out happening in here in the front with more staccato, choppy activity. We got some straight line here, looks like a triangular form back in here. So we look to the right. Once again, that red pink pops up to tell me there is more than meets the eye happening around here. And how is this all red and pink? And then bam, that's blinding white right there. And then again, we got that triangular, darker imprint or object happening behind here. Actually, this thing may extend, I think, all the way down here. I think we're dealing with a triangle that is this big. See what you think. Also, what's weird is we've got this golden activity, then this bam, this white out. So again, I think the gold is the effects of our original sun that's being veiled and concealed by this white artificial source. Also, this is in the wrong position in the sky for this time in the morning. That's just beside the point at this point. So then I've got extreme enhancement here, turning everything fiery red. It was not fiery red. I've just really exaggerated things just to kind of prove a point that, we've got some other kind of light source happening in the back, and this is just a pure white source, which is just, artificial. And actually what I thought was a triangular form, this might be part of a bigger curved form. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. See what you think. Okay, then I'm just still looking at this once again to see if we get at anything a little bit better. And we go to the right, and I really don't. Maybe you can find, I take that back. A and B, you see a triangular form here, so that just exaggerates it. And what is this form? Seems like it's flying straight down out of this triangle. See what you think's going on there. Okay, then this one's interesting. I'm just going to spend time on the right hand side. Well, we'll look to the left. This got my attention. We've got not only, newsflash for anyone who needs it, we don't have triangular shape form clouds in nature. This is something artificial. And we have a groove in front of it, a space, like something moving into a puzzle piece. Perfect, groove, happening, or, what I want to say, just some kind of separation to echo and completely highlight that this is a triangular form. We look on the right hand side, something's going on down here. There's like a pipe-like form diving on at a sharp angle. There's definitely craft activity going on up in here. And again, craft can mean an operated, actually moving vehicle, or it can be also just some type of instrumentation. I don't know, I'm calling it though a cloaking object. And yeah, it's a UFO back in here cloaking. If you have any other ideas about that, let me know in the comment section below. Oh, also, it's just strange that this thing is just sitting here standalone while we've got this thing looks like it's shooting up out of here. Looks like a very skinny needle, like pointed ellipse. Reminds me of those needle-nose fish. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, see what you see happening in there. Here's extreme enhancement. Again, just to look at this triangular form and this, opening around it, this clearing around it. Didn't get it too much more, but I just thought this would be an interesting view to once again illustrate what the heck is going on here, this standalone object and cloak. Okay, this one caught my attention because I saw this kind of forming, and this was just one of those where my inner sense was saying, okay, we're starting to see a craft again, and here we go. This is why my senses were tripped, and we've got darker object in here with cloaking material around it for sure. Something strange is diving in an angle over here. Can't get at too much what it is. We've got a darker object at 8.1. So this entire scene. Oh, and look, we've got a straight line coming across. There's something cloaking in here as well. See what you can find in this image. I'm going to zoom in one more time on that lower object I was looking at, and we even get purple, vibrant blue, indigo, purple kind of signatures, which I've noticed those don't actually pop up too much. So that's a special kind of craft, and I'm seeing it again now, and especially when it's intermixed and interlaced with pure white that tells me we've got definitely something going on with the craft emerging. Even this bright, brighter white point or violet point tells me we're picking up a machine part popping up out of this thing, and we're getting some reflection. Or sometimes there are standalone crystalline lights that come within the cloud, so to speak, and I know that's some type of intelligent form of intelligent design associated with a cloak and craft more often than not. Okay, this was strange looking. Sorry about my directionals. I did not get them all updated. I really kind of rushed the show, but I really wanted to get it out so I'm not too backlogged on all the other images coming up on deck. Anyway, we are looking west at 10:35 in the morning, and this just caught my attention, this weird, form of a hole and this other, weirdly forming quote-unquote cloud activity, which I'm going to say is artificial cloud at this point. We looked to the right, and I was just trying to see what's going on inside of there. So are we looking at a portal, or are we looking at the evidence of something that is coming or going that made this hole in this cloud activity? I don't know. We got some weird sky imprints here too that look like some bulbous pointed ellipses happening here. Anyway, we've got that red-pink signature again that tells me we have definitely got some type of intelligent, design, cloak and craft activity happening in there. And when I talk about cloak and craft, I am more often than not referring to advanced ET, or could even be basic ET tech, extraterrestrial tech. It just seems advanced to us. But for sure, the scale of this stuff, it's so large. That's why I'm not saying it's human-made. If there's any human involvement, it can only be, in my mind, in collaboration with something far more advanced and intelligent than what we've got going on our planet right now. All right, so now we're really zooming into those holes, and this is all I get. So I don't really, this looks like a little standalone object. I'm not sure exactly what's going on with this. Maybe you can inform me on this one. I'm at a little bit of a loss. But here I see a little triangular shape. It's interesting. I still think these are cloak and craft, and something is coming and going. But this one's a little bit of a stumper. All right, another glaring, bright white artificial sun or effective solar tech or whatever. So we look to the right, and I just start to make out some objects, specific lines. Look at this white one, coming down with sharp edges and shadow to them. That's designed elements. Those are machine parts on a craft, for sure. And then here we've got, straighter line also, other things popping up out here all over the place. And then we have this diving down at a different angle, this coming back straight. So, to me, those are the giveaways, telltale signs that we're dealing with craft, cloak and craft. Here we go. I'm zoomed in. I know it's really bitmappy on a bigger screen, but if you squint, you can see things better. And if you're on a smaller device, I think you can see it just fine. But we've got, pronounced independent objects here, no question. And again, here's a straight line here. If you follow my cursor, straight line here with these whiter elements, popping off at the top, tells me those are machine parts sticking out. Especially when we see this white stuff appearing amidst a background that's more solid color or monochrome. That tells me we're dealing with stuff projecting out of here. I also start to see a little bit of a hole back here. Really interesting stuff going on. And another object here, amidst cloak, straddled with cloak, is happening here, and probably over here too on the left-hand side. Now we're going to look at another view. This is looking southeast, a little more south than southeast, I'd say. And we've got just these weird backlit shapes. Again, I love when we get this backlit effect, things start popping up. So for now, I'm just saying A, B, and C. These are birds flying by the way, these little bits, darker bits. But look at this. We've got crazy, wild wave pattern happening here, which I've got to say can only be generated by something above creating those waves locally. This is not a HARP situation. This is craft sitting here generating this locally. And then we got something really weird starting to pop up in C.1. We're going to take a closer look at some of this stuff. I really washed it out intentionally with the brightness just to see these little bits and pieces hiding in the cloak. And this is kind of what we get. And, sharp edge here, a point. So I think this is the bow of a craft, actually. We'll keep looking, though. Okay, then we're going to look to the north. Again, we got this, pretty exaggerated line coming down diagonally, and this parallel to it, everything parallel. We got weird shadowy activity happening in here. So we're going to look at it with enhancement, and that's what we get. And I'm not really going to spend too much time on this other than we got something coming in at a hard angle this way while this is going this way. Again, that would not happen with natural clouds. And we got this little weird thing popping up out of here, projecting out. So what is this, some type of craft and they're shooting out their garbage? Or is this a little scout craft or some type of instrumentation taking readings on our atmosphere? Who knows? Something's going on there. There's an interesting story happening. See what you think. And then we've got warmer activity once again. Now we get like a big shadowy figure in here. I don't have answers on this one. A lot of questions. Ooh, some darker shadow also. This pointed ellipse is popping up out of here. There's so much fascinating, so many fascinating things going on in here. See what you can find. All right, now again, we've got kind of an opening, a strange opening in this quote-unquote cloud activity, which is totally artificial once again. And we have something, a shadowy backlit form happening over here, and we look at that with enhancement. This is what we get. This blurred effect tells me something is either in motion, whether it's going in a direction or phasing in and out of state or into other dimension. That's what I'm going with. See what you think. Lots of interesting things here, especially C.1. We have a pure curved line here all the way around. We got a little bit of shadow, I'm sorry, a little highlight here, point, and a darker element of it in here. So I'm calling that a designed object, absolutely a cloak and craft, either coming in and out of state or it's just in its natural state looking a little translucent. See what you think is happening. Now we're going to look to the north, and we have these weird little singular elements happening that caught my attention. Plus, I just had the overwhelming feeling something was going on up in here. So we look to the right. I'm just going to spend time on D.1 because it was so standout. You know, there is something happening in here. This has a story, and this is either like a trail to it or something. And again, in combination with looking at everything else, that tells me this has got to be some type of cloaking object. We're going to zoom in on it a little bit more, that D.2 element, that's why I'm saying it. Again, it looks like it has a vapor trail or something clearly associated with this thing. You know, did it fly up out of here or, you know, just pop out, you know, of some dimension and then start zooming off that way? I don't know. But, you know, we get the warm signatures around this object, warmer signatures around this one. It looks like these two zoom down from the upper part of the screen here too, you know, out of the left side. See what you find in that scene. All right, then this has just caught my attention clearly because this is a triangular form, and it looks like this whole thing assembly kind of zoomed up out of here perhaps. And that's all I need to say about this one, really. Here we've got a beautiful backlit effect looking west. We've got this glaring, whatever this is, artificial monstrosity parading and posing to be the sun. But again, I welcome that because now we've got plenty of backlighting on all these strange things happening at A, B, C, and D. So let's just jump to the enhanced version. Look at this. In no natural cloud formation would you have a straight cylindrical form diving in on sharp angle, something doing this, whatever that is, something more or less level, and, you know, just all different forms all over the place. Oh, and pardon if I have any little stray random extra labels that I didn't edit out as well. It was late night when I did this. So anyway, looking at this too, we've got a weird structure, like patterning happening beyond as well. Nothing about this is natural. Let me just say that. I think we're going to zoom in and take a better look at the D.1 element in a second. Yeah, first I just want to show you a little bit more. We have little crystalline elements popping up out of the backdrop of these darker figures. So once again, it tells me we've got machine parts. Even here it looks like a pipe right there, if you can blow that up on whatever device you're looking at. And look at this thing. This looks like a fish, but with machine parts. And D.2 is starting to look that way as well. So I'm zooming in on just that D element, and it looks like a fish. Yeah, it looks like the mouth at the front, whatever. But more importantly, it's got weird tech popping up out of this thing, so I'm calling that a cloak and craft. I'm putting it in black and white or grayscale format just to look at this in a different way without being distracted with color. And here you just see these are things in relief. They're jumping up out in 3D, you know, off this thing. So what is it? I'm calling it cloak and craft, and I have noted in other shows such as Off-Filled Sunset, one of my earlier shows, I started to see things in the sky that were looking very aquatic and like bioorganisms, and this is one of those. So is this actually a bioorganism like a fish in the sky in a way we just don't understand? Or is it, you know, 3D, or not 3D, but tech designed to look organic like a fish? I think that's what we're dealing with because these are pipes. This is a cylinder and the end of it is a hole. See what you think though. Okay, more backlight situation looking south-southwest and more little forms I start to see that look like they have intelligent design to them, symmetry, and then something strange was popping up at 8.1. So I'm just going to, well, okay, aside from all of the obvious strangeness happening all around it, this is one of those examples, if I don't call it out specifically, if you've been watching my show for any period of the time, I trust you, lovely people, are starting to to see what I see, hopefully even before I talk about it now these days. But we got weird stuff popping up out of here. This is a dark, weird. I'm just going to say it. I don't usually curse on the show. It's not really a cuss word, but this is a weird ass shape. Let's admit it. What the heck is this thing doing? You know, diving down here. And we've got little weird pipe-like things popping out. That's a little triangular thing with a puff trail behind it. You know, this is more rigid geometry with a triangular form. But I'm going to go spend time on A. There's enough strangeness to talk about for a long time in this photo, but do have a look on your own, see what you find. I zoomed in more on A, just, you know, just for the fact that we've got a totally different color signature here, and here is enough to tell me we're dealing with some type of entity in the sky that isn't natural, and it's creating its own signature, energy signatures, and it's very interesting. See what you can see in there. All right, this is the cover before it's enhanced, the cover of the show. And what caught my attention was, we're looking, actually this is more west than southwest again, sorry about that. This is not south-southwest. I thought I edited all these directionals. We are looking west on this one. So anyway, this stood out, you know, for obvious reasons. It's darker, it's a weird shape, more like a rectangular block, and it's just sitting there more or less on its own in, you know, close proximity to all this other stuff, but nothing else looks like this. And then we've got even like a trail coming in leading up to it from this weird fuzz out happening above. And the more you look too, there's another chunky block of, you know, whatever this looks like echoing here with something strange coming off of it as well. So you better believe we're going to enhance this baby. And here we go. And this is our cover. And so look at this. There's some type of object up here. You know, this thing kind of looks like it's, I don't know if this thing flew out of it. That's what it looks like to me. But maybe there's another story here in relationship between these two. Maybe this is just some type of weird ether trail that, you know, binds and connects these two. So kind of like a dog on a leash, you know, like this is the dog on, that's a leash. I don't know, but look here too. We got these weird, you know, clear lines incised with something coming, groove coming down this way. The whole thing is just so bizarre. And then when we get to this object in itself, it's got, again, these bright white points. So I think these are pipes or tubes popping up off the side of this thing. And this, I think, is like almost like a pinhole with a bright light shining out of it. It's just so strange. And it looks like a little craft here wandering off from wherever that is with a vapor trail behind it. There is so much going on in this photo. I'm going to focus on this little chonker for now. So here we go. Again, it's flying down here, and we got like a pinhole. Looks like a burst of light coming out of there. And again, these look like machine parts to me off to the side. Then we also get like other little dark objects in here. It's really fascinating. Lowercase bb, we've got a triangular form. This thing's fascinating. As I always say, I really wish we could blow away all these cloaking, you know, smoke and mirrors, all the tech, and get to what's really going on in the sky. It would be beautiful just to be able to photograph these for what they are. And I know, you know, we need this form of soft disclosure now, because even though I see these things every single day now, I think I still probably would be taken aback a little bit if I just saw an in-your-face craft. But this is actually conditioning me just to be ready. I really do think we're going to get there. And I can't believe I'm even saying this. I never in my life would think that I would be saying this at a point about this topic. But here we are. All right, so now we're looking west, southwest at a sunset. And, of course, what caught my attention was the reddish colors in here, but also the strange patterning. And I've been seeing this stuff so much and, you know, so long by now to know that that's some type of cloaking pattern locally. And I can say that because it's kind of looks like a bode, you know, like a part of a, if we really carried this on down, it would be like a pointed ellipse. And then we have another pointed ellipse, like a ghost form of it happening at a slightly different angle. We got that weird staccato effect and weird little highlight, bright crystalline points happening where they normally shouldn't, you know, against a dark background. So all of this cues me in that we've got cloak and craft activity going on. And here I'll just look at, spend time on 8.1. Here we get that crystalline white effect. So I'm going to say we've got cloak and craft going on all over the place in this scene. And by the way, we do tend to get a lot of heightened cloak and craft activity right at sunset and right at sunrise. And so that's why when I started out with these shows, that's where I caught most of the activity. Although there's a lot happening all through the day. And these days it's happening just all the time now. But I just noticed it gets a little more active, I think, in the morning hours and in the sunset hours. Anyhow, this was just looking really strange. And again, this is looking west, not southwest. But this strange form with a cloak in front of it happening, this kind of ghost-like form looks like it's cloaking. We have a darker form here, like capsule-like looking. Look, we have a very straight, hard, dark edge here. We have a little sky imprint of some type up there. Triangular form happening over at D. Once again, there was enough to trip the old let's enhance this baby alarm. So here we go. A sky imprint up here, this darker object here. Look at it, spans all the way to here. That's a clear, clear object. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. This is either part of a geometrical symmetrical form all the way over here, we see my cursor, or we've got a triangular overlaying, that form. Hard to say. Some of these things just overlap, interlap in weird ways. And then we look down here at F.1. We've got darker material going into other weird color signatures with the white stuff popping out. So once again, and even down here, these white dots amidst color background, I'm saying we're dealing with a bunch of cloak and craft in this scene, combined with the staccato effect here. See what other things you find in there that I didn't talk about. Sorry about the voice crack. Talk about. All right, now we're looking south. I totally missed the ball on the directionals this time, once again. But actually, who cares? You know what I'm doing here. Anyway, we've got A, B, and C, and D, and just looks weird. We've got a straight line. We've got something that looks like an arrow, arrowhead. And then this weird form. Nothing about this is, and then this, like, nothing about this is normal cloud activity. And it's so low in the sky, that's another giveaway. None of this is normal clouds happening so insanely low in our skies these days. So look at the color signatures here, very interesting. Got our little white points popping out at D.1, straight line here. What the heck are we looking at, guys and girls? We got dark triangular form here. It's very interesting, this white blast out here, that's got to be an independent object. See what you think, though. Okay, now we're jumping back over to the west, and not southwest, west. We got that tip of that thing, that curved overall element we were looking at, and we see like a darker form in here, darker form here, kind of strange patterns here. So we're going to look at it with some enhancement, and this is what I get. I'm not going to really talk too much more about this one, other than I invite you to, look at this overall form at D.1. We've got that major staccato cloud effect happening all over the place. So much choppiness, so much color variation just here locally. I am calling that cloak and craft in the plural. Then this gets really interesting. So I think this is Venus over here. We have, I want to bring your attention to look at elements B and C, okay? So we've got something that looks like cloak and craft over here, and that's toward the west, what we've been looking at before. Now as we go more toward the south, we see these weird things, and then something over here. But what's strange about this is that we've got a line of something moving from here, it's interrupted, and then it moves to here to this point. So we got a point and a line going to them. So here we go. Is craft C firing down at craft B? That's my question, and that's what I'm calling it, craft and craft. We have some type of connection between the two. Or is it vice versa, B shooting at C? We get this weird blur out up here. We got a straight object flying off of this thing. And then we have a sky imprint of a triangle interrupting over this line. And then we have something fiery coming down at E.1 in color signature. What the heck is going on with this story? Let me know if you have a good one. I don't know what's going on here. It's bizarre. All right, more bizarre looking east. This is the moon, supposedly. Behind some really weird cloud patterning, and I'm going to use cloud in quotes, meaning suspected cloaking material that I'll just say is plasma as my go-to to define it. I just mean something that's heavier and denser than water vapor that can cloak things really well and that hangs around in the atmosphere like glue. So, what's going on here? It just looked and felt strange. So we've got this red-pink cloud below. We've got golden warm tones, but then right in front of it, like our little solar simulator, we got a blast of bright white, pure white. So it was just strange. And I have a ton of photos here that we're going to come up on that scene again in a little bit. And I had so many weird things happening around the moon, but I only included a few. I could only do so much in this show. Anyhow, we're turning our attention back to the west, where we're looking at those weird forms and that one thing shooting at the other. We still have that pattern. It's holding true, that weird cloaking pattern, I'm calling it. Got a lot of staccato cloud activity up here. Look at this pure round form at the edge here. I'm like a plate, like a ball sitting on a plate is what I see. It's really weird. Anyway, let's just keep going again. Look at D.1, a pure curve form with shadow. we're talking intelligent design. No way around that. No way around that. This is so low in the atmosphere. This is subtropical to tropical heat and no wind. We don't get that formation from those conditions. Then we have a darker object here, and actually this object is now with these like weird little legs or prongs coming out of it, is reminding me of what I caught in another show, earlier show called Lightning Show Epic Night. I think I'm going to get this wrong. Epic Night Craft Sky Battle. Sorry, hold on one second. Okay, let me try that again. So it reminds me from the show called Lightning Show Epic Backyard Night Craft Sky Battle, something like that. That popped up as being backlit from one of the quote-unquote lightning flashes in that show. I highly recommend that show, actually, and also the one called Cloud and Quotes Cruiser. Those two shows alone are my most, best evidence of there being craft up in the sky, hands down. I could really just stop doing all of this. So those two show it all. Anyway, I invite you to go look at those if you have time. Otherwise, we'll keep going. The weird smudge out here showing signs, exhibiting signs of intelligent activity going on back there, intelligent design anyway. Look at the color signatures once again, really bizarre. If the sunset is supposedly happening here beyond and it's just bright white and glaring with a little bit of warm tone, then how do we just get localized blast of red and, right next to it, all these other blues and indigos and purples and whatnot. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. And sorry, pardon, I got to do a voice check one more time. Okay, well, here's where we get into some really fun stuff. Looks like we've got an unknown planetary body or moon at 8.1. Yes, I am excited. And be sure to cross-reference this scene at YouTube channel The Final Days. As always, if I recommend a YouTube channel, doesn't mean I agree with everything that people say, but I do agree with the captures and the direct evidence and the intelligent analysis that they're doing on these things. So I highly recommend a look-see over here at this channel. She is catching some amazing, amazing stuff, and the religious views are not my own. They're bits and pieces that, are fine. But hey, no harm, no foul. We each have our beliefs, and as long as we are love-based and good intended, that's all that matters. So, looking here, I almost got tricked, okay? I don't know if you see it. Sorry, I know I'm a little all over the place today. But let's look at A, okay? A, and then jump to 8.1, we start to see a sphere. And it has like a mottled texture and appearance to it. And that's why I say look at the final days, because she is catching vividly, clearly, and doing her enhancement to pull out, very clear objects that are, in our sky, much closer than any of us would ever imagine. And so actually I'm going to toggle it forward. Look at the upper right-hand corner over here where my cursor is. See, that's what I'm looking at if you don't see it. There is a clear sphere. It's perfectly curved. And it's got this mottled texture like she's showing over at the final days. Any of her recent shows are showing this object. I think that's the same one she's been showing, or let's just say a relative of what she's showing. So I almost missed seeing that though, because when you look at that left-hand side, I wasn't even aware of A, to tell you the truth. I only found A when I did the enhancement. So what I was looking at was this big sky imprint though. See this corner where my cursor is on the left-hand side on the left photo? And then it moves up and there's another hard edge. So to me, this looked like one massive triangular sky imprint. Again, with Venus down here in the middle. And that's what I was looking at. I was looking at the void, and I had no idea this was going on. So this is the smoke and mirrors that I talk about, getting us, distracted from the elephant in the room, so to speak, which is this, in this case, at A. There's also something really strange and dark moving in, coming in this way, moving up, or vice versa, or this is just a vapor trail of a harder object right here. There's a lot of fascinating stuff going on. Why is there a warm signature happening just in here as well? A lot of questions here. Okay, now this is also strange, and this is only the beginning of strangeness of what's going on at the moon. Looking east at 6 o'clock, more or less. What is this on the left-hand side? Okay, also what is this? Because now this is supposed to be the moon where it's bright white with a clear line around it, but clearly it's just not the right shape, it's the right shape, sorry, but not the right size. And there's weird brighter stuff going on behind it, so that's not the moon itself. What's causing the light going on behind it, right? And we're seeing this all the time with the sun as well. We're seeing an object in front of what's supposed to be the sun. So we got a lot of questions going on. And on top of it, we have this darker form moving through with like a perfect incision line of like an egg shape with stuff going on in it. So we look to the right, looks like a face, 2 eyes, a nose, and a frown or whatever. But look at this. What is this? It looks like part of a bigger object looming behind with cloaking in front of it, cloaking material. We got a weird object backlit here, and weird stuff going on all over in here. I even see like a smudge out of things. So anyway, I zoom in really close. You may have to squint if you're on a laptop just to see this. So we got a dark, perfect form outline of like an egg-like shape. This looks like triangular over here. This, and this each have their own color, independent color signatures. What the heck? What are we looking at? And then down here we got this zigzag form. That doesn't happen with a natural cloud. That's all I'll say for now. All right, now we're looking south, and it's getting dark, so that's why it's going to be bitmappy and a little bit blurry because my camera can only do so much. Once again, we got Venus, I believe, is there, some kind of planet. And then we look to 8.1, and we just see this is looking like an object because we've got not only a strange red, color signature where it shouldn't be. And again, look at the description box below of what could be causing that. But we have this form with it, like this reddish tone coming over it, almost like it's hugging it. So there's no way this could be bright whiter form while we have all that red around it, unless that's an independent object doing something else. And these little cutouts look symmetrical to me with like this bar coming in front, almost like a little face if these are the eyes looking off to the right and then the chin or the mouth. Anyway, we have a weird little object also doing its own curved thing down here. And this coming up on angle, this darker body. So I'm going to say this whole scene's riddled with cloaking craft and objects. All right, now we're back over to the moon. So this, where my cursor is, supposed to be the moon, okay? Again, that's an impossibility if this has a bigger shine and light source going on behind it. So what is this object? What is this weird small object here? You see the outline of it here. I'm going to say that's not the moon. It's some kind of projection or something else, a lamp, a light, I don't know. But what gets really, really weird is 8.1. What is that? This thing coming out the top. Look to the right-hand side. We have 2 prongs in the front. We have a perfect circle mounted on the top of some type of object. That is an object. Is that a standalone object right here? Or is this merely a piece of a much bigger craft beyond, which I think is the case? Because we have a pure stick, which is purely, fairly parallel to these. So I believe this is part of a bigger ship or a craft beyond. But look at this. This is a perfect circular element. We're looking at it on an oblique view, but look at that. That is an object. It has its own color signature and everything. So the question is, what is this doing? Now, if you look, it goes in alignment with whatever this thing is, which I'm not calling the moon. I think I do in a coming up slide just as a reference what we're supposed to believe is the moon. Let me just say it that way. But again, we got huge light source happening behind what this thing is. We would never see it independently from that if this were in fact the moon. There's strange shapes happening all over the place in this scene. B.1 is looking like a triangular form. Something really strange is also diving down this way that absolutely looks like a craft. Looks like we got little bumps and ridges like on the back of whatever craft that is on the top of it. So we're going to zoom in a little more. I'm calling it moon in quotes. That ain't no moon, but whatever. 8.2 is remaining. What the heck is that? So we're just really, I want to focus on that element. And if you squint, if it's on a laptop, you can see once again, pure circular element. It's got shadow around it, so it shows that it has some depth to it. These 2 prongs are coming out to the front of a symmetrical object. This is a stick. This is another stick. What's going on? Oh, also, just for tongue-in-cheek, I'm saying tech anyone instead of tennis anyone. What kind of game is being played up here with us? We got the quote-unquote moon again. We're zooming it in, just using a little more enhancement just to try to get at better. What is this thing? Squint once again if you're looking at a laptop. I think on the smaller handheld device you'll see it much better. Again, perfectly symmetrical pointed elliptical form. 2 little prongs in the front, parallel with each other, and a circular form up here, or oval form. What the heck? Alright, this is a little blurry, but here I just wanted to capture we had weird striations, these voids. So like what, now we're dealing with stripes and triangles up here by the moon. This is a triangular form, an imprint of one. We look at the enhanced version, blowing out, the brightness a little bit. We see pure lines here to show me triangular forms. There are others in here as well. And what are these cutouts? What are these stripes? Look at, we've got a pure right angle coming off the back of this thing. Or this could just be part of a bigger triangular form. See what you think though. And then this thing at B is curving up and over. What the heck is that? More questions. If you have any good answers, let me know in the comment section below. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. Just showing some beautiful blooms of actually like a weed or a wildflower and a grassy patch in a park. Now, what I'm showing here too is the insanely artificial nature. I did not enhance this photo, and this is the pure, insanely white light coming off the supposed sun. And if that were our original sun, it would have a much more golden tone, would not have these harsh shadows of pure white light happening here. So anyway, regardless, I want to say thanks for taking a little look at some things here a while. It is Wednesday, so mid of the week where I am. I wish you the rest of a beautiful week ahead, beautiful holiday, beautiful time sharing laughter, smiles, huge hugs, kisses, everything with family and friends if you are seeing them over the Thanksgiving break if you're in the United States. And if you're not in the United States, just go hug somebody. Go hug your family, kiss your family, show the love and no fear. And that's all I'm going to say for now. Tremendous peace and love to everyone. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.